Welcome to the catalog. My name's Justin Wood. This is the official podcast of eating a lot of delicious cookies and also the Cookie Wars, right? I'm here with Cedric and Pierre from Acceptio, and today we're going to be talking about, maybe we'll start off by talking about delicious cookies, and then we'll get into website cookies. I don't know which one's more like gets my taste buds more excited, but I actually am excited to nerd out about website cookies because there is so much stuff that we get asked about on a daily basis, running lots of companies' websites. But let's start with the Cookie Wars, first of all. So you guys were telling us you were doing a trade show a little bit ago, and obviously you're a cookie consent company, so you have to have cookies, right? So what happened?
Yeah. Okay. So we showed up with, I think it was 4 boxes. Our favorite local cookies. We got them delivered from Montreal to Toronto by FedEx. And
first of all, describe these cookies to me.
They come from Felix and Norton. Some of them have caramel in them. We get a mix of everything. They're perfect.
Are they like soft cookies? Are they
They are
crunchy
soft
cookies?
let's say 4.5 inches,
Uh-huh.
kind of flat. I really like them, and they're buttery.
Okay, so you had these
Yeah,
cookies, and then obviously everybody ate them really quick, right?
yeah. And then
Including Pierre.
yeah, and then this other vendor shows up at noon with boxes. They had trouble getting through the door jams. They came to the trade show with some like 200 cookies. They one-upped us major. We lost that a battle on that day.
So, did you try their cookies? Were they better or not?
No, I didn't approach them.
We went to look for what was the provider of the cookies for next time.
Yeah.
But we took some good notes so far. Our next trade shows in Toronto.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, I mean, I would say that with cookies, I'm more of like a quality over quantity. So I'm excited to see these ones that you guys had custom shipped. And I think like my producer Jen, she mentioned these cookies before. So
Are you the soft type of guy or the crunchy?
I like crunchy around the outside, and as you bite in, it gets like softer as you bite in.
Okay.
So there's like that type, or it's either that if I'm going for a premium cookie, if I'm getting but there's something very like amazing and wonderful about just a standard store bought Chips Ahoy cookie dunked in milk. I have a soft spot for that.
Yep, I totally agree for those chocolate chip cookies. They're the best ones dipped in milk. But I think the cookies that we like best at Acceptio are the web and online cookies.
Web and online cookies, yes. Yeah, so let's get into that. Web and online cookies, not as crunchy, not physically available in the real world, but also very important. So, you guys are from France. Well, you're not from France, but Pierre's from France, right?
No.
No, you're from Montreal.
I'm from Quebec. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but Acceptio as a company started in France.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
So Acceptio is a French-based company.
Yep.
The tool is French, but since the beginning of the year, there was a subsidiary that was implemented in Quebec.
Yep.
And we're now having a Canadian team, Quebecers, and eventually other people based out of Canada to support
Awesome.
local businesses.
Yeah, standard France to Quebec transition. You got to transition your way, right? So website cookies are obviously Quebec has its own laws. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but just for anybody that's not super nerdy and familiar with cookies, like myself, as in our web agency, we've had to implement them, have so many questions about them, and we'll get into some of those. But on a high level, like what is a cookie, and what does it mean when you accept a cookie on a website?
Yeah. At the very fundamental level, a cookie is a small text file that's written by a website in your browser. It'll contain either plain text information like a date, a username, a product that you liked, or it could also contain more encrypted or hashed information for stuff that you don't really want to have in plain text. But they're small files, just very small text files.
Mm-hmm. And if I'm a user on a site, like why would I accept or why would I decline a cookie or tracking cookies?
Yeah. Some cookies have benefits for users. So let's think, well, if you're doing online shopping, your cart is the content of your cart is something that would be a cookie written in your browser. So, I mean, it's nice to shop, add a few things to your cart, come back the next day, and still have your cart. That's really convenient. I guess that's the best example I can give you.
And what are some ways that cookies you might want to say, you know what, I'm going to this site. What would your red flags be to be like, you know what, I'm not going to accept cookies on this site?
Yeah. If I see a large number of technologies that want to drop cookies on my browser, then that raises a few flags for me. Especially if I see some technologies that want to do heat mapping, actually see where I place my mouse
Mm-hmm.
on the screen. I feel like that's a little bit invasive. I guess it really depends on which technologies want to drop cookies.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes simpler than that, it's only that as a consumer, you don't want to be retargeted for ads when you're visiting a new website or shopping for something new that you're not necessarily ready to go forward with.
So if I'm online and I'm looking for Speedos and I don't want to like later on have my wife see remarketing ads of, well, like I planned a trip to Greece last year, so I don't know, but that would be a case where I would say don't show the cookies because I don't want to be getting a bunch of like really sexy Speedo ads later on my Instagram.
That's a great example, and Pierre yesterday just gave a great example to one of our clients, and it's the fact that if you're currently shopping a ring for your girlfriend and you don't want these ads coming back to you and she sees it. Not to spoil the surprise, you might not want to accept the cookies, for instance. So very similar example, different context, but it allows the consumer to make a consentful choice on the type of interaction they want to have with the company and share the data that the company wants to track for further activities. So
yeah, like I think about what you were saying, like. I don't want a heat mapping or something like that, because marketers are like advanced marketers are tracking and recording your interactions on the site.
Yeah,
I don't know how I know that, but I know that.
We know some stuff.
So we're gonna play a little bit of this like good guy bad guy, because I think like cookies sit in the middle of this this marketing like black hat white hat area. So I want to unpack those a little bit more. But the average person, they don't know any of that. Like my grandma doesn't know that she's being tracked on a website, right?
They don't necessarily know, but I feel like they probably notice that when they shop for something, it keeps appearing everywhere after. I'd be really curious to ask maybe your grandma, if she actually notices
she's dead,
these things.
so
Oh, well, my mom.
I'm a little bit older now, but yeah. Sorry, this is a dark podcast.
It's all right. It's all right.
But on my side, I have to admit that my grandma used to call me once and ask me, "Why am I seeing those ads again? Are they like following me? What's up with that?" It's a bit scary. So indeed, these situations do happen. So
yeah, people notice.
So obviously, if grandma doesn't really know or understand that stuff, and she's presented with, "Hey, do you accept these cookies or not?" Right? If we're browsing the web, she's looking online for some toys for her grandkids, and she's now presented with a big pop-up that's she just wants to get to buy the toys for her grandma. How do we balance the world where every time you go to a website to just get something done, you're hit with a wall of legal text, and actually having users understanding their rights while they're browsing a site?
that's where we tend to make things different at Acceptio with our tool. The usual experience for consumers on websites is they come up to that famous pop-up with plenty of legal text that nobody understands. It can be very scary for some people. Others simply don't understand, which makes the first interaction with the company a bit, well, it creates friction with the users. So Acceptio's approach is it's turned towards the consumer. So we try to make the approach fun and with a less legal approach, even though there's still some legal aspects, we make it more understandable so that the consumer has the impression that the company is trying to make it easier for them to understand what they are consenting to at the end of the day. So this is a philosophy that we're working really hard to democratize. And is that a correct word?
Yeah.
We're trying to put out more in the market to help companies understand that there's a way to communicate this information easily to their consumers, and also for the consumers to understand better what they're consenting to. So this is how Acceptio differentiates itself on the market, especially for that type of experience.
Yeah, anything you want to add to that, Pierre?
Yeah, if you don't understand what you're accepting, you should never accept. Like, it's on the business to make it understandable. And I mean, they could have custom text in there and get creative, but I feel like most cookie banners are not all that customized. So it's probably better to start with something that has a little bit more punch to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm not often like excited about cookie solutions, but I remember when I went to one of the sites that you guys had with it. I think it was your website, and I was like, oh, it was like a cute little cookie guy or something, and I was like, oh, he's cute, he's nice, I trust him, and it was like, it was not in my face, but it kind of showed me like, hey, this is welcome. By the way, accept these cookies. And it was in like plain language, plain text. It wasn't just some like legal script. And you're like, okay, cool, let's go. Because that's really the first interaction that lots of people have with the website right now, right? Your marketing team can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars optimizing the first piece of copy on the hero image of their website.
We can talk a lot about that.
But it's actually the cookie consent that the user first interacts with, right?
Yep, exactly.
It is, especially if you use consent walls, or I mean, there's a bunch of ways that cookie banners try to get the user's attention and take it away from the website itself. Yeah, it's often the banner will look very different from the website.
That's something we see quite often.
Yeah, I feel like it's a bit of a shame to have something that's like white label, very beige on your website that you've spent a lot of brain juice on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, yeah, it's your website is the one place where people transact, right? So people are coming there either ready to submit their email or ready to submit their credit card. So trust is number one thing.
Yeah.
And what is the number one things that consumers brand is one of the most important components of trust, right? So I always tell my clients, I'm like, if you're not investing in your brand and things don't look consistent, you've lost trust right away, right?
I just thought about perhaps a perfect example how to describe it differently. It's like when you walk into Walmart, there's this little lady or
greeter.
person
Yeah, the Walmart
that
greeter.
greets you at Walmart. But they're totally branded Walmart. They're always super happy. They're already there to wish you a warm welcome with a smile. Imagine the same experience with somebody that blocks the access to Walmart and just tells you, hey, by walking in, you will be followed by cameras. You will be sent some emails and ads right after you get out, and dressed in red or a suit and tie, making the experience super scary when you walk in.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much similar with our approach, where we want the brands to, take their brand engagement right on the CMP and welcome in a user-friendly way the consumers, and also allow them to understand very simply what their engagement will be by consenting. So that's a simple example.
We're trying to be the greeter.
Well, I mean,
the happy greeter, not the angry lawyer shoving a legal document in front of your face.
And you mentioned something super important. It's the first tool that the new user will interact with your company when they're visiting online. So why not make it a fun experience and something that people can remember and understand easily?
Cool. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about GDRP, some legal stuff, and a little bit about how you guys build product growth into your product. Cool?
Awesome. Great.
Cool. All right, we're back. We talked about all the fun, exciting user experience, trust things about cookies. Now I want to get into the scary and fear-driving legal situations that cookies can or can't get us into. Obviously, cookies are there for a reason. There is a legal component, and none of us here are lawyers, right?
Right. Not at all.
Last time I checked, I'm not a lawyer or qualified at all, but I do have ChatGPT if we need to ask any questions. So the one question I have is, what is at risk if you don't? Who's at risk if a company's website doesn't have their cookie policy correct?
Everyone that uses ChatGPT.
I don't get it. How?
Well, you mentioned that you were using ChatGPT for legal.
Oh, legal advice?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, hey, I haven't been to jail yet. Have not been to jail yet. But yeah, what's the price to pay if you get your cookie policy wrong on your website?
I mean, I can talk about the situation in Quebec. It can cost a business 2% of their revenue. That or $10 million, which is sizable for almost all companies. So that's just the monetary cost of the fine, because the losses associated with loss of trust are, well, first, they're impossible to measure, but they will be greater than that fine, that's for sure. It happened I think in 2023 or 2022 to a large hardware store in Canada. When it happens to Meta in Europe, it costs them tens of millions of dollars. Yeah, so there's trust, there's fines, and I mean, once your data's out there, it can be pretty much impossible to get it back or to get it scrubbed. So some of the damage isn't really it's like unrepairable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, like, if as a consumer, you have a risk of like your data is out there, it's being collected, and it could happen. But as a business, obviously you have compliance officers. Like you're going to see GDRP or I think it's like Bill 25 or
yeah, Law 25.
Yeah, Bill 25 in Quebec. From my understanding, it's mostly the big companies that you see in the news that are getting like slapped on the wrist with pretty big fines for that. So obviously there's big rollouts with that, but the same rules apply to any size business, correct?
Yes, they do. I guess you tend to hear more about the bigger businesses just because they're more interesting stories for journalists. Also,
people love seeing like a big corporation get slapped with a fine,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it feels like we're finally giving them justice.
Yeah.
Can I tell you about a bit of a taboo term? We call them privacy terrorists.
What's that?
Have you ever heard about that? Well, they call themselves privacy activists. I guess terrorist is a very pejorative term.
Which side are you on, activist or terrorist or somewhere in between?
I think I'm more of an activist. I don't. Okay, so I first explain what these guys do. So, these activists will audit websites,
Mm-hmm.
generally in their region, and they will publicly call them out for any kind of mishap, undeclared cookie dropped on their browser, tracking technologies that are not declared. They will call out everyone just in the public forum. I guess this kind of ties back to white hat, black hat.
Yeah.
So the white hats will go private first and just message the company discreetly, say, "Hey, can you watch what you're doing? You're kind of messing with my data." The black hats will just call them out publicly and perhaps even invite other consumers to kind of abuse that.
Yeah. So on one hand, these are like consumer advocacy groups that, they're going there and saying, "Hey, check this out." But some of them are just calling them out like, "Hey, is there any like, for one of those groups, is there any specific things that, like who would be on the top of their list? Like what are some things that a company would do that would put them on the top of the list for one of those organizations?
I tend to see newspapers being called out pretty often. Sports clubs also, like football clubs. Yeah, if you use GAFAMs, basically.
What's that?
Google, Amazon, Facebook.
Yeah.
There are more. Meta.
So it's
Microsoft.
So it's mostly like big corporations, sports teams, and like the big the big websites that we all go on all day long.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's fine. Where I see most people, like most of the people that are really like in the forefront asking a lot of questions about it are mostly like financial companies.
Oh, yeah.
Financial companies, insurance companies, stuff like that. If there's anyone who's like top of the list of like compliance, it's usually them. And why is that?
Well, they are regulated by a bunch of frameworks already, a bunch of legal frameworks that kind of intersect. So they are used to navigating like complex situation when it comes to contracts, comparing contracts. So for them, like cookie compliance is just another framework that they need to abide by. So they tend to treat it very seriously as if their business was at risk.
There's also the concept of trust that we were speaking earlier. Some industries, even though they sell services or products to consumers, what they're selling at the end of the day is trust, such as the financial industry. You're playing with the people's money, so you have to be trustworthy.
Yeah. So yeah, when trust like that is so part of the brand, then legal consent, trust,
Exactly.
and compliance. So I'm a big company. I'm a marketing manager at a company, and I don't know anything about cookies or websites. I should if I'm a good digital marketer. But I'm now given a deadline. GDRP in Europe deadline came past all that stuff, and there was a whole big rush with that. But in Canada here, United States, I don't know. They don't really care about anybody's data, do they?
Yeah. There's
You'd be surprised.
California.
California has someone as well. It's always been a little bit more cowboy country in the United States, but I now have to have a. So for us specifically, Quebec, that rollout is coming past as well. Some of it,
All of it.
All of it is, yeah. And that was like last year.
The last small provisions last year, but the main thing 2 years ago.
Okay, yeah. I'm having
flashbacks. It started in 2021, and the full rollout was in 2023.
So Ontario, other provinces are likely to have more rollouts as well, right? So I'm that marketing manager. I don't know much about the technical implications of it. What's my fastest way to get compliant with whatever law that comes out for cookie consent?
That's a super good question. First of all, you'll need willingness to learn. That's the main thing. I guess you could just hire someone to do it for you, but then when it comes to maintenance, to maintaining compliance, it'll be really difficult for you to be independent in any kind of way if you don't develop some basic level of skill with cookies.
One thing also that's encouraged in companies in Quebec to help them become more compliant is to have a data privacy officer inside the businesses who clearly understands at least most of the elements in the law so that they can control these aspects in the business. So that's one of the elements that's recommended. And usually these people, if they are not lawyers, they will work with legal entities if ever they need specific assistance for specifications inside their company.
So that sounds about as fun of a job as the lawyer
privacy officer,
the lawyer coming into Walmart with a legal contract with me.
Yeah.
But what's the fastest way?
Yeah.
Do I just like get an embed code, drop it in, get a piece of SaaS software, and that's the way to do it?
Yeah.
And you're covered like 90%, and if you got some extra money then you hire the compliance officer?
First step, pick a solution that you can afford, follow the guide, install it, get some level of compliance first and foremost, and then iterate on that. So these tasks often fall on the shoulders of the marketing manager. But then the marketing managers realize, oh, damn, I'm not sure about the legal aspects of this. I'm not sure about the copy that I should place in this. I'm not sure about the brand book. How do I make this look just like my website? So have a first version and then bring in other actors from within your company to make the text, the colors, and the layout compliant, and make it match to your brand.
Yeah, it's always the marketing manager that knows nothing about legal, nothing about technology, and maybe a little bit of something about branding. That
I hope so.
that has to, and they're just like, what do I do?
Yeah. Here's what you should not do though. You should not install a cookie banner and just call it quits. Just having that little pop up actually doesn't really do anything. You can ask for users' consent, but if you don't use that that logic to then prevent marketing cookies from being deposited, you've actually taken a step backward. We call it facade consent. So asking for someone's consent, but then not respecting that is actually worse than not asking consent at all, because it's misleading.
We have quite a few stories about that. One of the pretty interesting stories was a client that switched their branding and their website, and the law was just coming into effect at that moment. So they just stacked the content management platform on their website to become compliant and just let it go without necessarily understanding the impact it will have on their business. So a few months down the line, they call us and let us know that they don't necessarily understand what's going on with their leads. Their leads dropped. They seem to have dropped almost 50% of traffic in Google Analytics.
They lost 70%.
70%. So it was quite catastrophic. And we tried to understand what happened. Was it the links after their rebranding, the website change that didn't point at the right pages? Was it ads that didn't point correctly to the website? And everything seemed to be normal right until we understood what was going on, and their consent platform was not branded with their new brand. So the consent experience was not great. So a lot of the users didn't interact with the platform or simply clicked reject on the cookies. And the impact it had on the business is that even if a user tried to fill out the form, which was a B2B business, the user could send the form, but the information was not received by the company because the content management platform blocked the information that was sent by the users who did not consent or interact with the platform.
So basically, like trying to get a cookie consent not done correctly could end up in losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in your marketing leads because well it comes back to what we said earlier, right? What's the first thing that they interact with on the site? And when a user comes to the website, you have a split second to either earn trust, get them through to something. So forget about all the other stuff you can do with videos, branding, all that stuff. Like that's what really matters, is that first interaction, right? And then also the implementation of that cookie, like how it integrates with your site, and you're not just implementing a piece of technology, you're also implementing an experience.
Exactly.
Right?
And the conclusion of that story is pretty amazing because we're really proud of that. We obviously changed the CMP to Acceptio, and we implemented a super cool experience. Actually, it was a drone company. So we changed the image of the CMP to a drone that was like dropping some cookies. So it made it a bit gamified and fun. And basically, under 48 hours, the traffic was almost back and the leads were back. So the company was super happy to have that change made, and they're they're doing pretty well up to now.
They are doing well, but they inflicted 4 months of damage to all of their analytics, marketing, data sets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to get that cookie drone. The cookie drone needs to be not just a cute little cookie drone. We need that cookie drone flying around the GTA here.
You're talking about a hardware product.
Yeah, let's.
Okay.
I'm just wondering if they actually implemented that cookie drone.
We have to call them and check them.
Whoever came up with the idea of the cookie drone needs to make that idea come a reality. Okay, final thing I just want to talk about is your guys' company, where you're going, how you're growing. One thing that I saw that was really cool, I'm a big product-led growth proponent. Part of how you guys grow and promote the site is through, you showed me a really cool tool called a Shake, where you guys kind of go. Do you want to maybe talk about that tool, what it does, and like how that helps you guys kind of go in and grow your organization and get Acceptio onto more websites?
It does help us, but it's specifically a tool that helps us, our clients and our partners. So, you want to explain a bit?
Yeah. Shake, it's basically a crawler. It visits your website, identifies the technologies that we can find on them, so on it, so the cookies basically. It lists them. It detects if they are detected even without the user's consent. So Shake is this whole reporting suite. It exists within the SaaS. So within the SaaS, once you have a subscription, you can launch Shakes monthly, weekly on your website just to maintain compliance, identify maybe a new plugin that the internet started using on the website without telling you. It's also like a lead magnet for us, to be honest, on the website. So on the website, you can input your domain, your email address, and like your purpose. Are you just trying to replace your tool, or are you launching a new website? Are you just curious? So, and then we email a Shake to the user. It's a PDF report, right? We found 25 technologies on your website. 60% are compliant. Here's how we can help. And then in the background, when we scan the website, we take note of the colors, the styles. We actually create a banner that's pre-filled with all of the cookies and kind of offer that to the user as let's say a starting point for their consent management.
Yeah, and like why I like that is because where does the user's journey start? Where like, okay, I'm the marketing manager. I now have to implement cookies. Well, humans always default to the laziest option.
Yeah, guilty.
Oh yeah, me too. That's why I can't come running with you guys. So what we will do is like, do I really need it? Yeah. And that's where that tool hits right there. Do I really need it? Right. So
it also answers the question of, am I compliant?
Yes.
So the enterprise, the business that has this type of question, they can use Shake and get the report that will specifically tell them where they're compliant and where they're not, so that they can also adjust their current tools or be introduced to Acceptio with the pre-configured cookie banner that Pierre was mentioning.
Sounds good. So I'll leave it at that. I think that we are all sitting around here wondering if we are compliant right now. I don't know if I'm compliant in some points of my life. Most websites that I have are compliant, but
I'll check.
But I think that's a good thing. So
I'll let you know.
So people can go on Acceptio site and check if they're compliant?
Yeah, accept.io. You scroll all the way down, and there's the form.
Okay, and obviously you guys are going to give us a coupon code that we can.
Absolutely.
You got
okay.
it.
Cool. Yeah.
Coupon code, QR code, whatever you need.
Okay. Yeah. I'll take a QR code on a Cybertruck. That'll get you guys the most.
Okay, we can have something for you.
Okay. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for chatting with me about cookies. And now let's go find some. I've talked about it so much that I need to go get some of my own. So
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Justin, for having us over.
And thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.